Hello and welcome, everybody. For any of you who I don't know, my name is Steve Perry. I am the Catholic Campus Minister for the students at Case Western Reserve University, and this video is our first attempt to do a little bit of ministry remotely, to do a little ministry through YouTube. I want to apologize in advance to everybody who's watching this, whether you're my students or not. I'm going to be reading off my notes here a lot as I'm doing this video, so you're going to see me kind of looking at you and then probably looking away, and it might be a little weird. This is still very new to me, so I hope you'll be patient, and I'm sure you will. So, anyway, there's a lot that's kind of in a bit of a mess right now, where a lot of schools are shut down, churches even have canceled all public masses. There's a lot that's really been thrown off. There's a lot that's really out of the ordinary. But what I want to talk with you about, rather than dwelling on the mess, is I want to talk about what we can do with that mess. Now, let me be clear. The thoughts that I'm about to share right now are not really in regards or relevant to people who are actually sick and suffering with this disease, but for those of us in much less serious circumstances, those of us whose lives, routines, and patterns have been either minorly or seriously disrupted by the steps that we're taking to combat the spread of this virus. So, as an entry point, let me share with you guys a story. On February 4th of 2014, a labor strike led to a shutdown of the London Underground, which is one of their main ways, probably their main way of public transportation. Obviously, with it being so widely used, this was a system that many Londoners used daily to commute to work, to travel to see family and friends, and to do more. So naturally, this shutdown led to a great number of people needing to rethink their commute or rethink the way that they travel. They didn't know for certain how long this was going to go on, so they couldn't just wait for it to blow over. They needed a solution immediately. As it turned out, the shutdown only lasted about 48 hours. By February 6th, the Underground was up and running again, and everyone could return to their normal commuting routine. But here is the interesting thing. After only 2 days of having their normal commute, their normal routine disrupted, a significant percentage of Londoners, not a majority, but a significant, considerable minority, never went back to using the Underground. A 2-day disruption in their routine led to tens of thousands of Londoners realizing that they had been doing their commute wrongly, or at least not perfectly, all along. Now, why do I share this story with you? Because right now, all of us have had our commutes disrupted. All of us have had our routines and the way that we normally do things disrupted. Our student lives have been disrupted by the suspension of face-to-face instruction. Our relationships have been disrupted by the limitations on group gatherings and the closure of so many places that we would get together. And our religious lives have been disrupted by the suspension of public masses and so many other gatherings that we would have been doing during this holy season of Lent. Some mess has been introduced to all of our lives. So what do we do with that mess? I think that our human instinct is to just be frustrated by it, but then to try to live as much as we can like things are normal. But friends, living like things are normal, I don't think is the best way that we can utilize this time. I don't think that any Londoner would have benefited from trying to follow the path of the metro with their car, or much less just waiting at the metro station until the Underground opened again for them to continue with their commute. I think, like they did, we can and we should use this time to start to think creatively about new ways we might do our commute. We can use this disruption to start to think creatively about how we might change our routines in such a way that maybe, like those many Londoners, we'll never want to change back. For now, I'm going to leave it to you to decide what that might look like in your life as a student or as a professional or among your friends and family. But I'd like to brainstorm with you some ideas about what that might look like in your life as a Christian. Let's start with thinking about how we might change our patterns of prayer. Think about how having your prayer routine disrupted in this way can be an opportunity for you to find a better routine. And here's one thought to maybe get you jump started. If you are in an area where public masses have been canceled, there is at least 1 hour every weekend that you would have been spending in structured prayer that you can no longer do in the same way. Start dreaming about how you might use that hour differently. Many people are using that hour to connect to Mass remotely, and I encourage you all to do that, definitely. But I think for many of us, if that's all that we do to make up for that lost hour on a Sunday, we're missing out on a great opportunity. We're making the mistake of trying to simply live life like it's normal. So here's a thought to consider. If you want to watch Mass being celebrated, please do. It is a great way to stay connected to the community and the Eucharist, even from a distance. But maybe do so at a different time than you normally would. And then instead, during the hour when you know that you would normally be at Mass, participating with the community, participating alongside physically the church, instead, use that hour to experiment with ways to pray that you haven't practiced much before. Do an Ignatian examen, pray a rosary, do the liturgy of the hours, pray conversationally, pray with music. Find a way to pray that you've never tried before, or one that you have tried and you've gotten a lot of benefit from, but have never made part of your routine. Maybe, if you do that, when things are back to normal and you're back going every week to Sunday Mass, you'll still have the habit and the desire to pray in those new ways every Sunday as well. Let's think now about maybe how you might change your practices of giving. For those of you who are professionals and whose financial situation has been less negatively affected by everything that's happening, you haven't maybe experienced a layoff or a furlough or getting less hours in whatever work you do, maybe you could take this moment and take a look at your budget. I think likely what you would find is that there's a lot of unnecessary things that you would be buying right now that right now either you can't be or it just doesn't make sense to. There's no point in it. What if you were to look at that amount that you're saving by not spending on those unnecessary things and to give 20% of it, 25% of it, or maybe even a little bit more to an organization that serves people in need? Not only would that obviously help people right away, but maybe when things go back to normal, you'll realize that you don't need to add all that stuff that you used to spending money on back into your budget, back into your life. And maybe that 20, 25 or more percent that you would be giving to those things is money that can be given to the poor always. Finally, maybe you could try in this time of disruption to change your habits of community. And I think that this is something that maybe we've all been thinking about and kind of how it would work and fit in our own lives. I can at least speak for myself when I say that I have felt lonely in the last week or two in ways that I haven't in a very long time. And I know that many others, probably many of you listening, are experiencing the same thing. So why not make calls we wouldn't ordinarily make, or write letters we wouldn't ordinarily write, or have virtual gatherings that maybe we wouldn't even normally have in person, especially with people who are feeling particularly alone in this time, like the elderly. Not only will that help other people and you yourself who are feeling lonely in this time feel less lonesome and feel more connected to a community, but maybe it will jumpstart or reinvigorate really meaningful relationships that will grow deeper even once things get back to normal. My friends, these are just a couple of ideas that came to mind for me as I was thinking about what I would say in this first video. And I think that it goes without saying that there are probably a lot of people who are watching this video who would benefit from hearing your thoughts as well. So please, share your thoughts in the comment section below. Let us know what you're doing or what you might plan to do to let this breakdown in your routine help you to find a better one. And in the meantime, in the description below this video, you're going to find links to a number of resources that are being used to help you keep moving forward in your walk of the Christian life during this out of the ordinary time. as well as one link to a TED Talk that kind of inspired this video for me. So friends, I just ask you all during this time, and I will chat with you in the comments hopefully, but I ask you guys just simply stay safe, stay healthy, and know that I will be seeing you at this time next week. Goodbye.